All right, our next. I had two articles here, but they are basically the same news. And that is Mario Odyssey. I've been playing a lot of that. I actually haven't gotten very far. But the reason is because my son, he is 5. Anyone listening knows I brought him up a couple times. He is obsessed with it. He loves the heck out of that game. And so I want to play it, but I don't have the chance to because he's playing it right now, actually. So, yeah, he loves the game. He's adoring it. He's getting pretty far, actually. He's already, I'm not even sure. He's probably on, like, the 3rd or 4th world. And I just, like, barely made it halfway through Cascade Kingdom. And then I had to, like, that's as far as I've gotten. But, like, so far, this game is amazing. It's really great. What do you think about Mario Odyssey, Mr. Rick?
I actually beat it yesterday.
Oh, dude!
But no spoilers here. I'm not gonna talk about anything in regards to that. But it's a great game. This year has just really gave me the nostalgia bug. Like with Breath of the Wild and then Super Mario Odyssey and just all the Easter eggs in both. It's crazy to see how far both of these series have come in the span of time since like the N64 and their first 3D imaginings, like till now. Mm-hmm. It's so crazy, but it's a dream. That game is awesome.
Oh, it is. It's amazing. Anyone wondering, actually, I just decided to take a peek at your channel, and I see that you uploaded Mario Odyssey walkthrough number 1 earlier today. So, you guys, after you're done listening to this podcast, because you need to finish listening first, make sure you go check that out. See, he probably gets farther than I did. And
I'm splitting it into kingdoms just to keep it, short.
Okay.
It's about 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Yeah, 10.
No commentary,
almost 11
no
minutes,
nothing.
So that's
because
pretty
the
good.
game's pretty straightforward.
But yeah,
it's Mario.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the game does come with an assist mode, but like even then, I haven't tried it with the assist mode, but I feel like it just points you in the right direction. Doesn't like tell you where every secret is. But yeah, go watch Rick's video, guys. But yeah, so you beat it.
It's good.
How would you thumbs up, I assume?
The articles that you're talking about, I think they were saying, how it's competing with Breath of the Wild and stuff like that with review scores. I'm going to be doing a review on it as well, but
yeah,
I'd say it's about on par in terms like I was actually more surprised with this game because I just shut myself off from it and didn't really look into it very much. I saw the E3 footage and then kind of went dark with it. So I was a little more excited and surprised playing this game than I was for Breath of the Wild, but I would say that it's on par with Breath of the Wild in terms of like reviews.
Yeah. The two articles I have here are one's from Nintendo Prime again, and the other's from Polygon. And the review scores are, again, like about the same as Breath of the Wild. It's like a lot of Edge Magazine, 10 out of 10, Giant Bomb, 5 out of 5, GameSpot, 10 out of 10, IGN, 10 out of 10. It's just amazing all the way down. And Breath of the Wild was the same way, with just all of these just perfect scores. Right now, at the time we are recording this, on Metacritic, they're tied with both 97%. And they're the two best reviewed games of the year. So it's like Nintendo is just banging them this year. Like just the two best games of the year are both Nintendo Switch exclusives. You got your Mario and your Zelda, and that's just it's like this is amazing. What a time to be a Nintendo fan, honestly. It's so good. I'm gushing. I'm like, so in our last podcast, Rick, we were discussing we were saying we didn't know personally how we felt because the game wasn't out yet. If what deserved Game of the Year more, Breath of the Wild or Odyssey, if it was between those two games. So I said I was reserving my judgment for when I actually play the game, but that it was going to be really hard to beat Breath of the Wild. I put over 300 hours into Breath of the Wild. I keep bringing that up on this podcast, but it's like, I love that game. That game was everything I wanted. Or probably 98% of everything I wanted, but nothing's perfect. And like, Odyssey is hitting that chord with me as well. I've only played like a little bit of it, but like, it's been a while since we've had like a really solid 3D Mario game like this. Like Super Mario 3D World was good, but that was more like a 2D Mario game than like a 3D Mario game, right?
Yeah.
I
don't know.
Yeah,
I'm pretty biased when it comes to it, and
What a
I'm
time
going to
to be
say
alive,
Zelda,
man.
just because of the difficult difficulty level is just
Same.
way. I don't know. It's just they're far apart. I mean, you know, Mario's got its quirks to it, and then Zelda's got its quirks to it, but when it comes down to it in terms of like challenge for me at least, like Zelda wins it for sure. Even though like Zelda wasn't that difficult in terms of like the main bosses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'd have to say honestly, I probably died more times in Mario Odyssey fighting the main bosses than I did in Zelda, just because you have less like life to like work with.
True. The great thing about Breath of the Wild is you can kind of like prepare for like if you know you're gonna say you're trekking along, you see a Lionel, it's like, okay, this guy, you know, it's business time now, so you're probably gonna eat some food that'll give you like a defense buff or an attack buff, and then probably get some yellow hearts in there and heal up and prepare. Whereas Odyssey, you can't really do that in the same way, so it's a little more like strategic with Breath of the Wild, I would say. But like, it's hard to compare them because they're honestly just like, they both have these big open worlds, right? But they are not the same games to play. Like, playing through them, it's not the same. They're not one-to-one with each other at all. It's not like comparing to games from the same franchise that are like of the same genre. It's just, I'd say the only things that they have in common are their Nintendo, and they have open space, you know. Yeah. So that, I'm just looking at some of these Mario Odyssey reviews again because this game has me so psyched up, and it's just going down Metacritic now. It's just all of these tens, or all of these, not tens, sorry, hundreds, and there are 13 negative reviews.
13.
22 mixed feelings reviews, and 198 positive reviews.
Wow.
So that's a pretty good ratio, actually. That is wicked. Anything else to add to that?
No.
All right. Great. Well, we didn't have very many questions this week. So I don't know. This is running pretty short, actually. We're at a half-hour mark. But let's I guess jump into some of the questions, and they're both kind of like not really discussion related questions, but you guys weren't giving me the good stuff. The last couple weeks we had like a fair amount of questions actually, and this week we had like 2 submissions. And I put a ping on Discord, and still nobody sent me anything.
Probably.
And I'm just gonna guess it's because Jesse's not here. He's the real
Jesse's
star.
MVP.
All right. He's the MVP for sure. So I think before we jump into the 2 questions I have, why don't you talk about, let's just talk about Odyssey some more, since it's like kind of the hot topic right now. So obviously you beat the game, so we don't want to do spoilers because, you know, we'll get lynched, and also I don't want spoilers because I haven't beaten the game. But in the least spoilery way, what would you say that your favorite kingdom was, and tell us about it?
That's a really hard one.
It's okay. If you have to think about it, I'll just edit out the thinking part, and then we'll...
No, that's a really hard one. I'd have to say the my favorite kingdom is probably the Lost Kingdom. I don't want to like give too much away. You guys have actually seen it before, with the glider guy.
Oh, you're.
I don't know.
Out.
Am I
losing you?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, you're somewhat stabilizing.
Okay, good.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
You were cutting out a bit. Sorry. Maybe it's my internet.
No, my favorite kingdom has to be the Lost Kingdom, probably, just because it's got the guy that you can capture that can glide around. I think they've shown him in some of the demo footage and stuff, so I don't feel like too bad saying that here. But that's probably my favorite level. I just like the way that the atmosphere like looks, the way that they made the kingdom, like the textures, like the trees look really cartoony and everything. It's pretty cool. That and the what is it? The Lunch Kingdom or the Lunchathon Kingdom or something like that.
Luncheon Kingdom.
Yeah, that one. That one's pretty cool too. I really like the art style there.
Yeah, it's really unique, and it stands out from the rest of the game, from what I've seen of the rest of the game, because you've got these sort of, not realistic per se, but very just like, it's very just like standard, I guess, Mario environments, right? And then suddenly there's this interesting sort of cel-shaded, very polygonal area, and everything's giant food. So it's not sort of your typical, okay, here's the city, here's the desert, here's the jungle, you know, or forest. It's like this huge shift in not just geography, but like art style as well, which is really incredible. Like, you don't see that very often in a lot of games where there's this sort of huge shift like that. But in Mario, it can work because it's Mario, and he's just like, he's not tied down to like any one style almost, you know, which is really great. Okay, so those you think those are the two best ones?
Yeah, they have some of the best like transformations and everything, and in my opinion, some of the best like just going around and collecting the moons and everything. I guess collectathons or whatever.
So who's your favorite thing? What's your favorite thing to capture for Mario to possess? Which is a really weird concept to think about. Mario is like possessing people like some sort of vengeful ghost.
I'd have to say the flying Goombas. Yeah, the ones that have the wings on their back. They're pretty cool. And then I can't say the other one. That's a huge spoiler.
Was that a spoiler then? Okay. Not like from the little bits I've played, like just capturing a bullet bill like just feels really good to be able to, and then like you boost and just flies over, but then like when we saw it, this is not a spoiler because we saw it in the trailers, right? The T-Rex. He came up way earlier in the game than I expected. Like the first kingdom you travel to outside of the Cat Kingdom, the Cascade Kingdom, and there he is. He's right there, and that took me by surprise. I was like, "Whoa, already? Okay, we're doing this." That was really cool, though. Just like well, like, you just wreck everything. You just start breaking stuff, and it's just, it feels good, and it's really surprising that capturing all these things feels that good, because in a lot of, like, they have to build the mechanics and the physics of all of these different things and make them playable, and they really pulled it off to make it feel really good. Like, everything that I've captured has felt good in that way. But the T-Rex was just like a huge, here we go. It was wicked.
Yeah.
So that one's a pretty safe one to talk about because it's in the trailers. But
yeah, no, the T-Rex is really satisfying.
Sorry.
Just going around and destroying everything like that, especially going around and destroying all the chain chomps. Oh man, that's a great.
Yeah. And also capturing the chain chomps, it was very satisfying because there's the one chain chomp and there's like 3 smaller ones, right? And the first thing I did, I went for the big one and I killed the smaller ones. And I was like, yes, it's never felt so good. In all of the years of Mario, I don't think you've ever been able to kill a chain chomp. Like, that's the one thing, I think they're the one, like, invulnerable enemy that you just have to other than maybe Booze, that you just have to avoid because they're these huge things, like, are just huge deadly things, And the other thing is that having captured the chain chomp, you're restricted to, the chain. But it feels good, like to have this option to possess these huge enemies that are like very threatening in a normal Mario setting, and it's like, oh, chain chomp, throw the hat, no problem, right? It's great. Anything to add?
No. Not on the subject of capturing enemies or anything like that. Overall, Mario Odyssey is just a really good game. Go out and buy it as soon as possible.
Super.
If you have a Switch, get it.
Would you say there's like a moment where you were like, oh, that was bad? Or was it just all good all the way? Was it a smooth sailing?
There was some things I felt. I mean, any platformer nowadays just feels kind of reworked because they've been done so many times. But I did feel aspects of other older platformer games in there, or collectathon games like Banjo-Kazooie a little bit. Like, there's these notes that you can collect, and it just really reminded me of the notes from Banjo-Kazooie that you would get. And
oh yeah. Because of that game, you pretty much can't make those a collectible in platformers or in 3D.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. There was just certain times where I was just like, oh god, this is kind of like really like Banjo-Kazooie. Even the transformation aspect of it, because you could transform.
Yeah.
But other than that, there wasn't really any bad parts. I felt that the game could have been a little bit longer, but I mean, Mario games aren't really that long. The post game is where it's at.
Yeah,
is really, like, you're probably gonna put another 20 hours into it, probably more after that. So
that's good. I like that. Did you feel like, since you beat it, we were talking about this before on our last episode, and we weren't sure if collecting the Power Moons was gonna feel very like tedious. Now, from what I've played, I haven't felt that way, but like I'm worried that it's gonna start feeling like Korok seeds all over again. What do you think about that?
I think that to be honest with you, it's diverse enough to where it doesn't feel that way. There's not enough Power Moons in one area, and that's where they like separate things too, because like in Zelda, it's just everywhere, and you can just go and get all these Korok seeds, right? And they only have a handful of different puzzles that you can do for those Korok seeds. Whereas in Odyssey, you're doing a ton of different puzzles that are all different and unique to themselves. you might have the same ones, like the music note one that I was talking about a minute ago. You might have that one in one kingdom and then have it in another kingdom. But because it's in two different kingdoms and they separate the tones differently, it feels different every time, unlike the Korok seeds. So it's not as tedious. It like gives it an illusion of, there isn't that many moons in this area. So
that's good, because like I suspected, and in my own experience has been this way, that like they're far more deliberately placed, because unlike the Korok seeds, which are like a side thing, the power moons are like the main point, the main collectible, right? So that because those are your objectives, they're far more deliberately placed, and puzzles are more well thought out. And in Breath of the Wild, basically, since the Korok seeds were a secondary, like a side quest, they could just be pretty much sprinkled everywhere, with very little, like, not they were deliberately placed, but they weren't as well thought out as the power moons, I'd say. So anyone listening from last week that hasn't played Odyssey, that was wondering, there's your follow-up on that subject. Mostly it was Jesse that was wondering, but he's not here.
Same goes for the regional coins, though, too. Those aren't very tedious to collect. I mean, even though I would say the regional coins are comparable to the Korok seeds, except like most of the time the regional coins, you don't have to do anything specific to get them. You just have to find your way to that spot to get them. And those aren't even tedious, just because I think in the first couple areas there's like 50 that you can get, and then in the next few areas after that it goes up to 100, but that's where it maxes out in each kingdom. So
makes sense. Great. Any other, is there anything else about Mario Odyssey that you want to throw your cap in? Or
no, that's about it, without getting into any like fine details. You guys just need to go out and play it yourself, or watch my guide.
There you go. So if you want to know and you can't play it, hop on over to RMFH's channel. Otherwise, play it, because it's worth it. It's worth the money. It's just great. All right, I think we can probably. I only have the 2 questions still. Let's see if Discord. Anybody from Discord? Nobody. All right. So the only 2 questions. There's not really much to discuss with these 2 questions, to be completely honest.
The videos on this channel are funded by supporters on Patreon like you. If you're a fan of this channel and would like to join on videos, receive shoutouts, watch videos early, have your questions answered, or have your topic discussed on our podcast, please consider supporting on Patreon for these and many other rewards for just $1. Shoutouts for this video includes Linkus the Triforce, Rusty Caulfield, Lovable Christie, GiveTime15, Shadow to Us, Robbie Morgan, and Lunarium. I want to thank all of you for everything you have done to help support this channel.